Story. Have you heard of a man that died and have a family in another town? Okay, if you haven't heard of the story, now open your ear very well and listen to this very interesting story of a man that died few years ago and went to another town and built a family he couldn't build when he was alive. There lived a beautiful maiden named Neka. Her beauty was legendary, and as she walked through the village, heads turned, and whispers followed her every step. Her skin was the color of a very bright of the sun, her eyes very beautiful and bright, and her smile could light up even the darkest of days. She was proud of her looks, so much so that she believed no one in the village was worth of her hand in marriage. Suitors came from near and far, drawn by the tales of her beauty, but Nneka dismissed them all with a hasty wave of her hand. "He is too short," she would say of one. "His clothes are too plain," she would criticize another. "He lacks the grace and poise I deserve," she scoffed at the third. Nneka was convinced that only the most handsome and noble of men could be her match, and until he appeared, she would wait. Hello guys, if you have not subscribed to my channel, please do so to subscribe to my channel to get more interesting stories. Thank you. So let's continue. One day, as the sun dipped low in the sky, casting golden hues across the village, Nneka decided to take a stroll by the river. The gentle breeze played with her hair as she walked, her mind lost in thoughts of perfect man she was certain would one day come for her. As she approached a bend in the path, she noticed a figure standing by the water's edge. The man was tall, with broad shoulders and a face that seemed carved from marble. His eyes were deep and mysterious, and his smile held a charm that took Nneka's breath away. He was dressed in fine clothes, unlike anything she had seen in the village before, and there was an air of quiet confidence about him. Intrigued, Nneka approached him, her heart beating faster than usual. "Hello," she said, her voice softer than she had intended. The man turned to her, his smile widening as he introduced himself. "I am Obinna," he said, his voice rich and smooth. "I have just arrived in this village, and it seems that fortune has smiled upon me, for I have met the most beautiful woman here." Nneka blushed, something she rarely did. She was used to compliments, but there was something different about Obinna. His words felt genuine, and his gaze seemed to look right into her soul. They spent the evening talking by the river, and as the sun set and the stars began to appear, Nneka felt something she had never felt before, a deep connection with someone else. Days turned into weeks, and Nneka and Obinna became inseparable. The villagers whispered about how Nneka had finally found her match, and many were relieved that the beautiful and prideful girl had been humbled by love. Obinna proposed to Nneka, and she accepted with a joy she had never known. The wedding was grand, and soon after, Nneka gave birth to their first child, followed by two more in the years that followed. Nneka's life seemed perfect. She had the most handsome husband, three beautiful children, and the respect and admiration of the entire village. But as time went on, strange things began to happen. Obinna was always away at odd hours, and sometimes he would disappear for days without explanation. The children would speak of seeing their father in the places he couldn't possibly be, and Nneka began to notice that Obinna never seemed to age. He was as handsome and youthful as the day they met. Troubled Nneka decided to visit the village native doctor, a wise and elderly man known for his knowledge of spiritual world. She explained her concerns and the native doctor listened carefully, his expression growing more serious with each word. "Nneka," he said, "after a long silence, the man you married is not of this world. Obinna is a spirit, a ghost who died long ago without fulfilling his desire to have a family. He has come back to this village to live the life he could not when he was alive." Nneka's heart froze. She could hardly believe what she was hearing. A ghost? Her Obinna, the father of her children? Fear and confusion gripped her, and she asked the native doctor what she should do. "The spirit world is not always hostile," the native doctor explained gently. "Obinna has not harmed you or your children. He came back because his soul was restless and he found peace in you and your family. You have given him the life he had longed for, and in return, he has cared for you. But now that you know the truth, you must decide how to live with it." Terrified and unsure, Nneka returned home, her mind racing. She watched Obinna closely, and despite knowing the truth, she found it difficult to hate or fear him. He was still the same man he had fallen in love with, still the father of her children, but the knowledge of the true nature weighed heavily on her. One night, as she laid awake beside him, she decided to confront him. "Obinna," she whispered, "I know what you are." Obinna turned to her, his expression soft but sad. "I never wanted to deceive you, Nneka," he said. "I loved you from the moment I saw you, and I wanted to be with you, even if it meant hiding the truth. But I understand if you cannot stay with me now." Nneka felt tears welling up in her eyes. She thought of her children, of the life they had built together, and of the love she still felt for him despite everything. "I don't know what to do," she admitted, her voice trembling. "Whatever you choose, I will respect," Obinna said quietly. "But know that I have found peace because of you." The days that followed were difficult for Nneka. She struggled with the truth but found solace in the love and support of the villagers. They had noticed the change in her and learned of her story through the native doctor. Instead of shunning her, they embraced her, admiring her strength and resilience. They understood that she had married a ghost, not out of foolishness, but out of love. News of Nneka's plight reached the neighboring village where Obinna had once lived. His mother, an elderly woman who had mourned the loss of her only son for years, came to visit Nneka. When she arrived, she was overwhelmed with emotion. Upon seeing Nneka and her grandchildren, "Thank you," Obinna's mother said, her voice choked with tears. "Thank you for giving my son the family he could never have in life. You have saved his soul and brought joy to my heart." Nneka, moved by the old woman's voice, embraced her. The two women cried together, their tears a mixture of sadness and relief. They visited Obinna's grave, where Nneka's children placed flowers and said prayers for their father. As they stood by the grave, Nneka felt a strange sense of peace. Obinna had been a ghost, but had also been her husband and the father of her children. He had loved her deeply, and she had loved him in return. The villagers who had once gossiped about her pride now spoke of her with admiration and respect. She was no longer just the beautiful girl who thought herself above everyone else. She was the woman who had married a ghost and built a family with him. Nneka's life continued, but she was forever changed by her experience. She no longer placed her worth in her beauty or looked down on others. Instead, she focused on raising her children, teaching them the importance of love, humility, and acceptance. Obinna's mother remained a part of their lives, and together they kept Obinna's memory alive, not as a ghost, but as a beloved husband and father who had found peace in the family he had longed for. And so, in that quiet village between the hills and forest, Nneka's story became a legend, a tale of love that transcended the boundaries of life and death, and of a woman who learned that true beauty lies not in one's appearance, but in the strength of the heart. This is the end of my story. Thank you guys for listening. If you have not subscribed to this my channel, please do well to subscribe to my channel to get more interesting stories. Thank you as you do so. Thank you for listening. Bye.